doing a YouTube live video. So welcome, and I really don't expect too many people to be watching this because I don't have many subscribers, but that's all right. I do know a lot of people in real life, and unfortunately, the people I know in real life, they're on the other page with a lot of different things, and that's okay. Um, but something happened today that I thought was really interesting, and I just wanted to talk about it. So, in light of some of the really weird stuff that has come up with QAnon, some really heavy stuff that deals with a new word that has come up, which I couldn't share this stuff on my Facebook feed because a lot of people that I know, they're not fully aware of some of these things, and they have small children, they've got families, they're living at a certain level where if they were to hear uh, some of this stuff, it could really mess them up. And I finally had to separate some of the conversations that I do on Facebook Live with having some of these conversations just simply be on YouTube and hope that the right people will tune in. And it's kind of a risk for me because I'm not much of a public person in these conversations. Um, so the whole concept of this new word that's come out, pedivore, it's heavy. It's really uh, really rough. Um, if you haven't heard that word yet, unfortunately, if you really want to know some dark seated things that go on with a lot of money making things, uh, that word has come up recently. So I watched Sean's SGT report. I suggest that if you want to understand what that's about, you go to SGT report. Sean runs that YouTube channel, and he did a very tough but succinct and smart video on what's happening. So tonight I went to Publix, and I'm going up to the counter, checking out my things, and this was at the front. It's the March of Dimes, and it says, "Help every baby have a bright future." Okay? Now, for years, I've noticed how a lot of different supposed charities, in real action, they end up involved in the exact opposite things that they say that they're doing. So I wanted to point out a few things tonight with that specific topic to maybe shed light on where we really put our money, where we really put our energy. And I'm going to talk about the research that I've learned and also the individual people that I've gotten to know that are involved in this stuff. Okay. As far as the March Dimes go, they, like the Red Cross, the Clinton Foundation, lots and lots and lots of different supposed charities. And you'll notice too, a lot of Hollywood stars, all of us, as soon as they get really famous, they end up having a foundation that says "Help the children." Help the children, help the children. But isn't it ironic how there's more children these days that need to be put on drugs? There's more children that are suffering and are in more trauma-based situations, that are losing faith in all kinds of different things. They're really messed up. I mean, if you really talk to these kids that are coming up, and they're especially the ones that are in foster care, the ones that are supposedly vulnerable, they don't see that money. They don't see that love. They don't see that funding. They don't see those resources that the March of Dimes collects. They collect millions and millions, if not billions of dollars. Where does that money go? And the thing is that they feed off of our narcissism. You know, we like to get dressed up. We like to give money when it's convenient. We like to go to parties. We like to go to art events. We like to go to music events. We like to feel like we're VIP. These are things that these entities know. That's what we like to do. So they'll create these events so that people will give tons of money to, so they can get dressed up and feel important for the night. But no one really follows the money after that. No one follows the money after the Warhol event has some huge charity thing. They don't follow the money. So I decided to follow the money a little bit. And I'm still getting used to using technology. I'm not really great at it. So what I'm going to do, if I can, I wonder if I can switch this. Can I switch it? So yeah, so you can see this. So I'm here on the computer. Forgive me if this isn't ideal, but again, I'm not much of a techie. But what I'm going to do is give you, there's the lifeissues.org. Okay, so that's the link that you can look onto. And this is the article, and it says 7 reasons to boycott the March of Dimes. Just for simplicity's sake, what I'm going to do is just read off to you what they're saying. And then if you want to look for yourself, feel free to, and research it. But it's very important in light of what's coming up in so many fraudulent charities, organizations, corporations, calling it human helping. It's not. This is what they're saying. Now, this is as of August 2017. Okay, they say this information has been reviewed and verified as current. They say although pro-lifers have been boycotting the March of Dimes since the 1970s, the general public seems unaware of the boycott and continues to support the March of Dimes. They want to help educate more people on the actual facts of where the money goes once you support March of Dimes. Now, right off the bat, before I get into the details of this, again, sorry it's in reverse, but this is the way I guess it has to be when I share this with you looking at me. They show children, and they say, help every baby have a brighter future. This is what they really fund. Number 1, their emphasis on prenatal diagnosis of birth defects, for which abortion is often the quote-unquote treatment. Number 2, their close ties to the eugenics movement, designer babies. Number 3, their support of experimentation on live babies in the womb and on tissue from aborted babies. Number 4, their support on federally funded embryo destructive stem cell research and pre-implementation genetic diagnosis. I'm going to get back to number 4 in a little bit. Number 5, their dishonesty in ignoring the connection between prior abortions and premature birth. Number 6, their grants to Planned Parenthood. Number 7, their neutral, quote-unquote, neutral stance on abortion. You can read the rest of the article for yourself. And regardless of where you stand personally on abortion and those sort of things, I think at this point in our world, we need to look beyond what we think they mean and find out what they really mean. And we have to look beyond what our understanding is of what they're about and what they truly are about. Um, in light of stem cell research, I'm going to go back to the number 4, where it says their support of federally funded embryo destructive stem cell research and pre-implementation genetic diagnosis. I do have some information, and it's kind of bizarre and weird that I'm going to share this because it's not like many people are going to listen to this. I don't do videos. I don't do videos to get likes. I don't do videos to gain mass um, popularity. Um, I'm just who I am, and I've lived a really weird life. And I've met a lot of different people, and I've tried to balance out sharing certain things that I've learned personally without really getting myself in a pickle. Um, but you know what? Tonight, I don't care anymore. After what's come to light with the level of depravity that the people on the highest echelon are doing with children, with sex trafficking, with organ trafficking, with things that you almost can't even talk about, I have to share with you that um, there were the uh, tribes all around the world that actually engaged in cannibalism because they thought that on a physical level that was going to rejuvenate them from any supposed sins that they were privy to. It would rejuvenate them no matter what. The Egyptians were involved in this. Pre-Sicilians were involved in this sort of thing. Ligurian is what they were called. I'll make a note of it and post it in the comments below. I found that out this morning. And interestingly enough, John Podesta's family, it looks like, came from that same tribe, which makes sense of this still connection in light of what's come out with Hillary Clinton the last couple days. When you look at the people that are really pushing on the top level abortion, they're pushing stem cell research at the exact same time, and they're also have their hands involved with beauty rejuvenation. There's a reason for that, because all 3 of those things collide. And I know this for not only from a research standpoint, but unfortunately from a personal standpoint, from my neighbors being really good friends with the Clintons. And I won't say their name, but one was a lawyer that ran the Pennsylvania financial Democratic campaign for them in Pennsylvania to make sure that she won, which she didn't. And the wife is, interestingly enough, a stem cell researcher for Pitt University, and is highly involved in this stuff, and is also involved in the Susan Komen Cancer Research Institute, which raises millions of dollars for supposed cancer. And if you could raise enough money to fix cancer, they should have it by now. There's a reason why they don't have it. They've framed cancer. Yeah, Patrick, it's pretty wild. They've framed cancer, unfortunately. They're all connected. They're all good friends. And this sucks. but I'm tired of being quiet about it. Um, they framed cancer as something that is elusive, but it's only going to be as elusive as much as they're really truly trying to research the BRCA1 gene. And the BRCA1 gene is a mutation in the human body that children have it most strongly. Like there's a like eternal life in the most innocent. In there's the telomeres. Okay, when you, this is so strange to have to try to talk about in layman's terms, because I don't want to be too highbrow with this, so that everyone understands this, because this is really important. So they found out through all this stem cell research thing, which they were given tons and tons and tons of money. Okay, the Susan Komen Foundation is all involved, but people will go for runs about all this stuff, and they have no idea what they're really truly running for. This is the people that are behind the Susan Komen Foundation and all this stem cell research and all this stuff. It's all about trying to find the physical fountain of youth. It has nothing to do with truly eternal youth and eternal life. And I won't go God for a minute, because some of y'all might not be into it. But when you start realizing the mimic of what Luciferians do to mimic what is eternal life, and the depravity that they will go to mimic what truly can be eternal life, you'll start seeing Jesus real fast. In the physical sense, what they're trying to do is feed off of that youth vibration. In scientific terms, they will frame it as just simply being enzymes. They'll frame it as being a protein. So the masses will accept that language and consent to that. Okay? But when you really look at what they're doing, and you really peel the onion back, and you really look at where all their hands are divvying into, they have to create war. They have to create pain. They have to create adrenochromes. They have to create dark web. They have to create all this terrible stuff. That's what funds everything else and creates this weird subculture of these elites that feed off of eternal youth from the innocent. That's what feeds war. That's what feeds sex trafficking, child trafficking, snuff films, the adrenochrome that they do. Hostile, okay, I'm going to jump a bit. I know this, I might be hitting too many really tough topics for a few different people, but it's just the way my brain works, because I've unfortunately been privy to this for a while, that some of these things might kind of go over some folks' heads for a minute. So just give me some grace, and if something goes over your head, just research it, you know what I mean? And hopefully maybe in another video I'll be able to be more detailed in a specific part of it. But why, since the 1970s, where there are hardcore porn, snuff films, and really gnarly things, all that stuff going on, at the same time, why there were it was a huge influx of psychopaths, taking, like, stealing kids, kidnappings, missing children, all this really weird stuff. We got to look back to the 1970s and look at those underground films. Also read old Rolling Stone articles dealing with Hunter S. Thompson and his gonzo writing. And if you look at who Hunter S. Thompson was connected to in high-level government connections that go right back to the Podestas, go right back to the Hillary Clintons, go right back to their mentors. It's all connected. It's all connected if we're really willing to see it. And then from that, you get these immensely traumatized, if they survived the situations, you have a whole other generation of extremely traumatized children, and Big Pharma shows up. And what does Big Pharma do? What do drugs do? Drugs numb you from your experiences. What kids have to be numbed from their experiences to that level? Why do we have 2 or 3 generations of kids that have to numb themselves through drugs? Or maybe other people are doing it to them. What are they experiencing? What are they not able to talk about? Who funds all this stuff? Where are the stem cell researchers getting their products? Where are they getting their products? If we go way back to even Vietnam, there was sex trafficking of the locals. It's terrible, terrible. And there was trafficking of organs, heroin, children, pedophilia, all kinds of things. And you think that stopped in the 70s? Go back to Playboy in the 1970s and read some of those articles. Chester the Molester. I mean, the 70s were really messed up. You look at Children of God. I'm just throwing this stuff out there. You guys will pick it up or you won't. But it's all connected. Chester the Molester. Drug trafficking. Sex trafficking. Normalizing pedophilia. Normalizing breaking the spirit through war. And then all of a sudden, if we don't really see ourselves as human, and we don't really care. Oh, exactly. Thank you, Patrick. Exactly. Who actually disappears? Someone just, thank you, Patrick, for saying that. We have this huge insurgence of these supposed psychologists, and they're full of shit, these psychologists. They're the gatekeepers to keeping these kids that are totally traumatized quiet. They put them on a whole bunch of drugs. They throw them in institutions that MK Ultra them. Whatever you want to call that. I'm sorry, if someone's going to put some electrodes to your brain so you forget the trauma, that's MK Ultra. Call it whatever you want. That's not helping them. That's shutting them up. And we've also noticed in the 1970s, there was this huge resurgence of understanding natural remedies and people that learned how to heal people and do really wonderful things for free. In the last year and a half, over 100 top holistic doctors and professionals have been killed or suicided in very strange ways. While Monsanto is now connecting with Bayer. Bayer is all part of it. But we want to believe that the March of Dimes and the Red Cross and all these wonderful supposed international global charities are helping the kids. And we go to our grocery store and we give $1 because we think we're doing something good, and we're literally feeding the beast. The March of Dimes believes in stem cell research. They believe in abortion. When you start looking into what's really going on with where the money... Okay, I'm just going to say it. I found out on a very personal level This is tough to say. The organ trafficking, even in Pittsburgh. I found out someone that I know is involved in organ trafficking through Quest Diagnostics and the Mayo Clinic. They get their resources from war, from vulnerable people. You get some jagoff that goes into a country, and usually it's CIA. You come after me, CIA, right? Whatever. You know me. Come after me. It's fine. I'm talking it. Unfortunately, I've been privy to some family members in this. I'm done with it. I'm done. No fear. They go into a country. They make it vulnerable. They destabilize it. They destroy families. Then they tell the public that they're there for humanitarian reasons because they were the ones that started the problem in the whole frickin' first place. And then they try to act like they're the saviors in these countries. And they take the children and they militarize the men and they create unbelievably horrific situations in these countries. They drain their resources, they drain their money, they take away the real leaders in their own country that actually care about their own citizens, and they replace them with some puppet idiot who's just going to go along with letting these criminals, DynCorp, you better believe DynCorp's involved in this, and they let these puppets only be a leader as long as they go along with this criminal human trafficking and sucking up the milkshake of all of the country in the first place. They take their gold, they take their resources, they take their children, they take it all. You want to call that making a bright future for the babies? Whose babies? I'm over it. I'm over it. You know, I say this, truly as a human being. I have no vested interest in making these videos. If anything, what this does is put a freaking X on my head, if you guys even knew who I knew. It destroys my ability in the high art world that I was so focused on for years getting involved with. But then when you realize that art is one of the biggest money launderings for these folks, you don't want to get involved with that either. So I said, screw it. I'll start talking. Because at the end of the day for me, I really believe in us being the change we want to see in the world. And sometimes we really need to put our necks out in a good way to speak what's really going on. We allow so many echo chambers and so many liars to lead us into so many dark places and think that it's okay. And yet at the same time we go, why is the world so messed up? Why am I still in poverty? Why is all this bad stuff happening around me? I don't understand. Well, lift the veil. Find out who you're really giving your money to. A lot of these leaders, these current leaders that have profited off of destruction and war for decades. And I'm talking about the Bushes, the Clintons, the Podestas. You look at Turkey. The Podestas were the ones that were running the trafficking in Turkey. Turkey is the main hub. Oh yeah, the art world, are you kidding me? Don't even get me started on the art world. That's where I come from. There's some really messed up stuff that goes on there. But also knowing about government, you know, with family members being involved in that sort of thing, and finding out certain things, and using my own head, um, you know, it's tough. But money is currency. Currency is our life energy. Okay? And if our money is our life energy and where we decide to put attention to, when we really fully realize that power, we can change everything on an individual consent or non-consent level. And that's what they don't want us to really fully understand, and to empower ourselves in that. When you're fully informed about knowing that you do not have to consent to ridiculous BS in this world, only because you think, oh, well, this is the only way I can get by. That's poverty mentality, starting from a spiritual level to a very materialistic level. If you stand up for what's right and you say, I don't care, I'm not getting involved in that, and every single one of us do that too, and we really do stand up for the babies. You see that? Can you see that? We really do stand up for the kids, and we really do stand up for ourselves. We really do stand up for our communities. That's where the change is. You don't give it the office. You know, you're there for your own community. You don't feed into dying core. You don't feed into the war. You don't feed into all that crap. Because you know what? At the end of the day, I got one word for you. Pedivore. It's a really ugly word. I gotta plug in because I am at my limit on my phone. I don't know what I did with my follow me here. We're gonna go on a little trail. I think I put my battery over here, but maybe I didn't. I'm not sure where I put it. All right, well, I'll just talk until my phone dies. Maybe I'll go out in the kitchen and see if it's out there. I don't know. But the point is, look up pedivore. Look up that word. And it's an ancient mythological word that they tried making it seem like, popular culture, whatever, tries to make it seem like that's a myth. Well, if it was such a myth, why were the ancient cultures so involved in it? Hold on. Coming out here for a minute. I gotta look for my phone charger. Hi, Bubba. Let's see. It might be here, maybe not. I don't... Nope. All right, we're just gonna go with it until this dies, because I don't know where my phone charger is. I found it. It was always right there, right by the door. Isn't that how it always happens? So, in ancient mythology, you had Cain and Abel. You put those two words together, and what does that say? Cannibal. Why is it that the worst thing you could possibly do is be involved in cannibalism? Why was that such a massive curse? Why? Why was that such a massive curse? Why is that so bad? Well, we live on levels of reality. And when you talk about the ancient mythologies and the ancient religions, the idea of the highest God, he wasn't physical in any way, shape, or form. The highest God was all spirit and was a whole other energy, so much brighter and so much stronger than anything we could possibly wrap our heads around in this third dimension, okay, in the physical reality. The fall, as I understand it, and I'll be interested to see what you guys, say in the comments of what your perspective is. The fall was losing that higher vibration. It's all about tuning. It's all about your tune, your vibration. And unfortunately, with what Adam and Eve got involved with Lucifer, seducing them physically into basically an orgy that brought them into a physical realm, then the Luciferians are always mimics to the higher vibration of what can be with eternal anything. So in this realm, their way to eternal life is through cannibalism. In the worst sense possible. Look up Jeffrey Epstein's island right now. In the last week, some stuff has come up out of that one. And it didn't stop with simply having underage kids that they could blackmail high-level politicians for. It went way deeper than that. Find out what they were doing in the tunnels. Gnarly. Gnarly. There's a reason why there was such a resurgence with the Nazis, that they wanted to find out these ancient practices. They wanted to understand the ancient Egyptians. They wanted to understand the ancient Babylonians. They wanted to understand Sumeria. They wanted to understand the ancient Celtics. They wanted to understand all of it. But when you understand all of that, they are mimicking eternal life by being a cannibal. Because in the physical sense, if you apparently in the physical sense, if you eat or you consume the youth for a temporary time, it's like those really creepy, grim stories. There's truth to that, unfortunately. You will rejuvenate your telomeres. You're going to feed your body that youthfulness, and so all of a sudden you'll start glowing again. They're telling moms to eat your placenta. Like, come on now. It's there. We're just not seeing it for what it is. And on a very high level, the stem cell research, and when you find out who's actually funding this stuff, they're peddlers, you start realizing, oh my gosh, they weren't lying when they said this is a dog-eat-dog world. They literally mean it. They literally mean it. And we're raising them up? And we're giving them our energy? And we're thinking that we're less than? And we're not allowing our own imaginations and our attention to our own families and our own friends and our community to be at the forefront compared to what they're doing? We feed them all the time with attention and all kinds of stuff. And that's what they're into? Oh, hell no. Hell no. So then you have the artists. Who are the artists that they have raised up? Because this is what I really know. This is what I've been down with since I was a kid. Who are the artists that they raise up? All right. Warhol was CIA. Only reason why Warhol got anywhere is because he was pulled and used by CIA to be pop art. And if you look at the quotes that they love to push with him, and they traffic so much money through his name. The traffickers the organ traffickers I was talking to you about in Pittsburgh that I know personally, guess who showed up at the Warhol events? Them. There's a reason. I won't say their names right now. I really want to so badly. I want to so badly. But they're going to go down regardless. They're going to go down. But, you know, there's Ai Weiwei. Ai Weiwei. Who the hell is funding Ai Weiwei? And look what he's pushing. Look at Damien Hirst. Look at what he's pushing. Really look at what they're pushing. You know? Man. What's that dude's name? Oh, gosh. It was Cicely Brown's mentor. I always get him mixed up with somebody else. He did the really crazy, like, I'm going to look it up right now because it's going to drive me crazy if I can't think of it. He did the really whacked out paintings. Dang it. Sleep Brown's mentor. Because his name is really similar to another really famous person. And I always get them confused. Not Kooning. Although Kooning was kind of whacked out. Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon. You want to talk about, no, not Koons. No, Koons is jacked up. Jeff Koons, absolutely Patrick. Jeff Koons, pedophile. Oh, you want to talk about what he does with little boys behind closed doors, dude? Not even cool. Like, not even cool. Why do you think he likes doing those little puppet things? Mm-mm. Francis Bacon. If you, and it's sad too, you know, I'm not trying to come at all of this being a jerk and trying to, like, point out people. I mean, I don't care about the Clintons. They can go to hell. They're evil as hell. But, you know, people have been systematically, Bacon was highly disturbed. I mean, but I still feel bad for them. And it makes me really sad that they had to have that kind of life, and that in order for them to have the kind of success they had, had to be traumatized that terribly. Francis Bacon, if you go, before they delete it or whatever, check out his childhood. He was molested at like 7 by there was a guy that was like taking care of the family horses, and like somewhere between 7 and 9 years old, like this horse trainer or whatever molested him, and it was really, I mean, and like it just was like a trajectory of really bad stuff. And of course, these psychopaths that want to lift up depravity see Francis and are like, okay, cool. Like, we want everyone to be totally jacked up. We want art to be as awful as possible because that's the name of the game. So keep making the most horrific, awful paintings, and we're going to condition the public to think that in order to be successful in art, you have to be as depraved as possible. That's what's happened. That's 100% what's happened. It's 100% what's happened in Hollywood. It's 100% that's happened in popular music. I mean, like, I can't even listen. And I'm not even like a tightwad. Like, I literally cannot listen to most of that popular music that's out there anymore. It's pathetic. It's bad. Like, dude. And then, of course, Ray Chandler's thing came up. So that connects not only the arts, but fashion and modeling into this whole belly of the beast thing. So if you're not familiar with Ray Chandler, okay, unfortunately, she was a young girl who knew a lot of high profile people. She ended up getting married into the Guinness family, the beer thing. But when she was a kid, she was clearly abused by these older adults that were very wealthy, and she ended up becoming a madam. Um, but nowadays, what they do is they make madams into modeling agencies. So they cover their butts by creating a modeling agency, and they get all these young kids to think that they're signing up to become a model, but they end up trafficking them to high level people. They'll say, "Oh, well, we really want you on the cover of this Vogue piece, but you need to have a couple meetings before that happens, so that you kind of like schmooze." And these kids are like 14 to 19 years old, and most of them are very vulnerable. They don't have like really solid families or financial situations. I mean, they're just putting their butts on the line, literally. So this modeling agency, I'm going to look it up, the name of it right now, because I can't remember exactly what it's called. 'Cause you can only handle so much information in your brain for one at any given moment. Midland Agency is what it is. Okay. That's another thing that unfortunately I know too much about. They sell kids through modeling agencies. Really smoothly. Because you always have to consent. You gotta consent. So, they'll take some pictures like, oh, like Terry Richards, it's a perfect example of a total creepazoid in this whole thing. And they'll create this modeling agency, tell you that, oh, you're going to be the next big thing or whatever, but you got to go on these certain meetings. And they're always with like older, creepy dudes that you have to be nice to. And if you're not nice to them, you won't get the job. Oh no. So you better be nice to them. Well, what does that mean by being nice? And I'm going to leave it at that. And it happens over and over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, so I've talked a lot about a lot of different things. Because this is just how my head works. You get involved with so many different levels of stuff. And then interestingly enough, what do the models do too in the art world? They're the muses. They're the ones that pose for all these things. And they get thrown into the music world to be the muses for the rock bands. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, baby. And who's behind all of it? CIA. So, you need to always create war. You need to always create vulnerable people. Because if we weren't vulnerable, I'm going to leave this on a positive note. Okay? Those that think, if money, okay, from what we're constantly marketed, that money was going to fix all the problems, based on all the charities and all the multi-trillions of dollars that have been collected through the Vatican, don't even get me started on the Vatican, through all these different charities, the CFR, the UN, World Child Support, I mean, you name it. All the different individual Hollywood stars charities. Don't you think if money was going to fix all this, we'd be living in heaven by now? Right? Okay. We're not. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So, how about we start realizing that we don't need to send our money to this. And what's interesting too about this, for those of you that know the symbolism of Luciferianism, it's always in purple. Always. The Luciferian symbol in color is purple. Always. So we know that. Just give to the people that you know, and take your energy into really believing in yourself and doing the most amazing things you can, and lifting up each other around you. When you see someone and you're friends with someone and they're trying to do something that's good, lift them up. Lift them up. Support them personally. Whether that's making a platform for them to be able to do their music or their art, or if they've got an invention that really could truly help the world, help them however you can. If you see someone who's hungry, feed them. If you see someone who needs a good word, give them a good word. And just breathe life into what you're doing personally and those around you. Everything else has been like, this is drinking your milkshake. War is drinking your milkshake. Human trafficking is drinking milkshake. All of that stuff, man. I really, it's okay if no one listens to this. At least I know I'm doing my thing. And speaking of truth, I don't need to worry about Patreon or any of that stuff. I've got really great friends I know that are out there doing some amazing stuff, and they are supported that way, and I think that's fantastic. And I mean, they all know I've got their back, But for me with this, I just want to share it and hope that it inspires people to know that at any given moment, see, this is the redemption. This is the difference between the mimic and God. Okay, the mimic will get you to feed off of terrible things and then condemn you for it, so that you feel that you have no way out of it. And you just have to keep going along. And that's not true. The real God, he exposes what's really going on through all kinds of different ways. And then you can change your mind. No matter how deep and how dug in your life may be into this situation, into these games, into this depravity, into this criminality, into these mafias, into the darkest depths of you can imagine. The true God says, you want to change your mind? Here's your opportunity. Any given moment. And then you change. And you can quickly become a light where you were dark. And then you can raise awareness and go from a Saul to a Paul. Any given moment. And that's what I hope, I mean, as much as, I want to shed light on these things and empower innocent people that have no idea how they're being used. I also have a big heart for those that are involved in the game. I know what you're going through. I get it. I mean, I understand. But you can change your mind at any given moment. And you can turn. And anyone who tells you otherwise is lying. So anyway, on that note, I think I've dropped too much. So I'm going to relax the rest of the night, and I hope that you guys have a great night. And, you know, the best thing that we can do for 2018 beyond is just to live our own imaginations. You know, just think of the best things that you could possibly do and believe that it's true. And then make it happen. And this world will benefit from that. We weren't meant to be robots, and we weren't meant to be automatons to this bullshit cannibalistic economy that tells us that we have to be a certain peg in that system. And my understanding is that we were all individually meant to be here in this world at any given moment to uniquely bring a gift into this world, to make this world so beautiful, if we just allow ourselves to be vessels in the highest power with no fear. And those that want to give you fear, fuck them. They don't matter. And the more people that say fuck them, they don't matter, they get torn down. So let's tear them down. All right. Peace, guys. Good night.